Okay, let's come today on to, let's start on a child's pose today. So you can choose knees together or knees apart. Just make sure that your big toes are not lying one on top of the other, but are next to each other. You can bring your hands underneath your forehead if that feels good. If you want to bring the forehead to the floor, you are welcome to do that. And starting to take a few deep breaths through the nose. Feeling the lungs expand into the torso. And try to lengthen the spine with the breath. And to also broaden the spine. Setting an intention by placing an image or repeating a word. And focus the energy of your breath on that intention. Taking 3 rounds of Brahmari breath, which is the humming bee breath. Starting with a deep inhale through the nose and humming the air out. Taking a moment to connect into the effect of your pranayama. The relaxing of the jaw, the throat, the spine. Feeling the sensation of the vibration. And then on your next inhale, you can extend your hands forward, lowering the forehead to the mat. Just breathe into the space. You can take some movements, little side to side movement, little undulation of the spine, and just stretch your upper body, sliding the hips back towards the heels to help facilitate this deep stretch, drawing the shoulder blades wider. And then walk the hands back, just a small space, plugging the hands firmly into the mat and pushing your hips down towards your heels. Try to slide the shoulders away from the ears, keeping the neck long. then walking your arms over to one edge of the mat, coming into a lateral stretch. And then over to the other side. And returning to center. Rounding into the spine as you lift up into tabletop. Adjust your alignment so that you are even, and then flowing through cat-cow pose. Taking one more round, and then moving into neutral spine. Engage into the core so that your abdomen is nice and firm, and then floating up right arm and left leg. Stretch through your balance pose, and then as you exhale, draw the knee and the elbow to meet, rounding the back. Inhale into a neutral spine. We're not arching here, but firming the tummy, and exhaling to round. Flow with your breath. Inhale to lift, and then reaching back to hold onto your foot as you lift the leg to the sky. Inhale, extend, and exhale to release. Let's take it to the other side. Left arm, right leg. Engaging into core, neutral lower back. And exhale, knee and elbow to meet. Inhale to extend. Flow with your breath. One more, and then reaching back, holding onto the foot, coming into the bind. Inhale, extend, and then exhale to release. Sitting back onto the heels. You can always come into a cross-leg position if you're not comfortable sitting on the heels, or put a pillow underneath the sitting bones. On your inhale breath, float your hands directly forward. Soften into the shoulders for a moment. Lift into your neutral spine. We're going to work into protraction, retraction. So you draw the shoulder blades together, and then you round into the shoulder blades. And we're trying to isolate this movement into the shoulders and away from the spine. So it's not cat-cow with the spine, but protraction, retraction of the shoulder girdle. And then come back into the neutral space. So you're nice and soft. Let's inhale the hands overhead, holding onto one wrist and gently leaning to the side. Returning to center, switch the wrists and gently pull the arm to the opposite side. Returning to center, release the hands down, come to rest on the thighs, and just work into a few shoulder circles. Change the direction of the circle. And then coming to neutral. Let's float the hands in front of you again. Neutral shoulders this time. Inhale, extend one arm all the way back. Start to use the abdominal muscles and the muscles around the rib cage to twist. So instead of using the shoulder to twist, we're using the abdominal muscles. If you want to take this deeper, you can bend the elbows into cactus, and you're going to feel how that now pulls across the teres majors. If that's too intense, then keep the arms extended. It's inhale, extend, and then return to center. Turn the palms to face up by rotating them back and then rotating them down. So getting some nice big movements into the shoulders again. Try to soften the torso here. There is some slight movement into the spine, but again, we don't want the spine to take the major force of the movement. And then back to neutral. Bring the hands forward. Let's inhale the left hand back. Work into those core muscles to make the rotation. If you want to deepen, you can come into cactus. Let's inhale to extend and then rotate center. Drop the hands down to the thighs again and a few gentle circles. Change the direction of the circle. Let's come down onto the hands again, stepping the knees back into tabletop. And we just want to get the blood flowing down the back of the legs. You can tuck one toe behind you, flex into the heel, and square the hips. And I'll really push into that heel to get a good stretch down the calf muscle and into the ankle. On the inhale, come back to center and float the leg up. I'm going to work into ankle rolls. Change the direction of the roll. And then draw the knee as far forward as you can. If you can touch the upper arm, you're going to press your knee and upper arm against one another. Let's inhale, extend that leg back again, and then release the knee to the mat. Stepping left foot back, tuck the toes, and push firmly into the heel. So here the shoulders come a little bit behind the wrists. And although we're focusing on stretching the back of the leg, remember to grip your fingertips into the floor and grip the finger pads into the floor so that the heel of the hand is not taking all the weight. Let's inhale back into neutral, float the leg up, and work into ankle rolls. Change the direction of your ankle roll. And then drawing the knee towards the upper left arm. If you can make contact, you press really firmly, upper arm and elbow against the knee. Let's inhale to extend and exhale to release. Coming back to sit into your Vajrasana, otherwise you're welcome to sit in your cross-leg position. Make sure you're in a neutral spine. Let's exhale, chin to chest. And just allow your body to become heavy. The head is working towards your chest. If you need more weight, you can lightly place your hands to the back of your head. Inhale up, keeping the hands interlocked behind the head. Push your elbows apart and then push your head against your hands. Turn the gaze to one side, still pushing your head against your hands. Open both elbows. Return to center and over to the other side. And returning to center. Release your hands. Let's make our way into downward facing dog. So the legs are still probably feeling a bit tender from sitting on your knees. So keep the knees soft as you lift your sitting bones up and back. Let's shake the head, yes. Turn the gaze under the arms, shaking no. And then heel toe the legs a few times, stretching out the back of the hamstrings. Sinking both heels down towards the mat. Let's look between the hands and take little steps to the front of the mat, making your way into flat back. Open up through the chest. You can bring the hands to the shins for a bit more height. Remember, you're very welcome to bend your knees. And then exhale to forward fold. Flick your tailbone to the sky and reach your head to the earth. Let's bend knees and roll up. Making your way to Tadasana. Standing up nice and tall. Inhale, raising hands overhead. And exhale to forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Inhale, stepping the right leg into lunge, and then following by the left leg into plank. Let's lower knees, chest and chin to the mat, remembering to keep the hips off the floor as you engage tummy. Slide onto the mat, elbows under the shoulders in Sphinx. Releasing down as you make your way back through child's pose and into downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Let's inhale, right leg to the sky, and stepping the foot forward into lunge. Inhale, together, flat back, and exhale to fold. Inhale, circle sweep the hands overhead, and exhaling hands to heart. Round 2. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, left leg lunge. And then stepping back into plank. Lowering knees, chest and chin. Slide to the tummy, elbows under shoulders, Sphinx pose. Exhale through child's pose. Into downward facing dog. And breathe. Let's inhale the left leg to the sky. And stepping the foot forward into lunge. Inhale together, flat back. And exhale to forward fold. Inhale, sweeping hands all the way up. And drawing hands to the heart. Inhale, Utkatasana, bending knees, sweeping hands overhead. Sit heavily into your heels. You can even lift your toes off the mat. Squeeze the thighs against an imaginary block and make sure that your lower back is in a neutral space. On the inhale, straighten up and then exhale to forward fold. Inhale, lifting halfway up into flat back. If your hands are on your shins, you'll now bring them behind the ankles. If your hands are on the mat, you'll now bring them to interlock on your big toes. Exhale to forward fold. Flick your tailbone to the sky and actively reach your head to the earth. Shoulders lift slightly away from the ears. Placing the weight onto the ball of the feet. The heels do not lift, but they are light. Let's inhale, coming back halfway up. And then planting the hands down to step the right leg into lunge. Squeezing into your back thigh. Reach your head forward. Try to get as light into the fingers as you can. Engaging into the core and the hips. On your inhale breath, make your way back into plank. Floating in plank. Make sure the arms are not holding your weight up. The legs and the core should be doing most of the work. Let's drop knees, chest and chin to the mat. Wrapping the elbows into the rib cage as you lower. Hold here in this full body mudra for a moment. Shoulders away from the ears. Strong into the core. Releasing down by undulating the torso and bringing the elbows under the shoulders. Hold in your Sphinx pose for a moment. Draw the elbows into the ribcage and puff the heart center open. Remember to keep your neck in a neutral space. Let's release down, coming into child's pose. Knees together or apart, whichever feels best for you. Let your elbows soften, let your head soften. Feel the spine gently round. And then keeping the hips as far towards the back of the mat as you can as you slide into downward facing dog. So the weight doesn't come over the shoulders as you lift up, but keeps back against the heels. On your inhale breath, the right leg lifts. And we're now going to step into Virabhadrasana A, Warrior 1. So the foot comes to the inside of the right thumb. The back foot steps in slightly, toes at a slight angle. Float your arms up into warrior one. Square the hips and lift up out of the lower back. Make sure there's no excessive arch happening into the lower back. Reach the arms to the sky, pull them slightly back in line with the ears. You want the weight even over front and back leg. You're going to release the hands to the floor and again step back into plank. Make the body light. Strong legs, strong core. Let's lower knees, chest and chin. Engage the core, elbows touch the ribs as you come down. Undulate the spine to the mat, elbows under the shoulders for Sphinx. There's a light pressure of the pubic bone against the floor, and you'll feel how that lengthens into the lower back. There should be no discomfort in your lumbar at all. If you feel that you have the flexibility, you can float your elbows off the floor, coming into a high Sphinx. Let's release back down, making your way into child's pose. Don't lose your activation here. Keep the breath flowing Ujjayi. And then again, working to keep the weight towards the back of the mat as you slide your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's take the left leg to the sky on your inhale, and then stepping it into warrior one pose. Foot to the left thumb, right foot in slightly, opening up the torso to the sky. If your feet are too close to the midline, your hips will not square. And if they're too wide apart, again, the hips will not square. So adjust your alignment to feel comfortable. Really pressing into the back baby toe side of the foot. You're going to lower hands to the floor and this time step forward into flat back. Hands to shins or to the fingertips. You can choose to hold the back of the ankles or interlock fingers around the big toes as you forward fold. You're welcome to bend your knees here. If they're straight, see if you can try and kick your tailbone all the way up to the sky, lifting the kneecaps slightly. We're going to come all the way up to sit in your Utkatasana, so bending the knees, lifting the arms overhead. And then inhale, come all the way up into Tadasana. Take a few breaths in Tadasana. On the inhale breath, we're going to bend knees again, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, flat back. And in this version, you can hold the ankles, the big toes, or step your hands underneath the feet into Parahastasana. Whatever you choose, make sure you've got space in the neck and shoulders. Release the hands to the floor and stepping back through the left leg into lunge. Float your body here. Make sure there's no weight on those hands.
all strong into torso and thighs. On your inhale, step back into plank. Float in your plank. We're going to lower knees, chest and chin, holding up for a moment at the bottom. This time, keep the hands flat. Push your torso forward, lengthening into the toes and opening the heart into cobra. The elbows are still wrapping into the rib cage, shoulders pushing away from the ears. Elbows are never straight in cobra, always bent. Let's release back to the floor. Come into child's pose. And downward facing dog. On the inhale, take the right leg to the sky. Step forward into warrior one. On the inhale breath, bring your hands behind, interlock the fingers and roll the shoulder blades together. Start to tilt your chest open, but at the same time push the pubic bone forward so the lower back is not taking strain. Moving into humble warrior now by folding to the inside of your front thigh. See if you can square your hips a little bit more and really pull the arms up and over the back body. Release the hands to the floor and step yourself back into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths in your down dog. From down dog, come onto the toes, round your back as you move forward into plank pose. Let's lower knees, chest, chin. And then pushing the torso forward and up as you lengthen your toes into cobra. Grip the fingertips. Place the weight into the ball of the hands and away from the heel. Gently release down and make your way into child's pose. Keep the weight as far back as you can manage as you slide into downward facing dog. Let's inhale the left leg to the sky and stepping it forward, Virabhadrasana A. Bring the hands behind your back, interlocking fingers, and start to open up the chest. Reaching your hands back towards your heel. Forward folding into humble warrior. Remember to work your inner thighs for balance. And then let's release the hands to the floor, stepping forward this time, flat back. And exhale to forward fold. Inhale, flat back. And then holding the back of the ankles, the big toes, or standing onto the hands in Tadahastasana. Let's release the hands down, bending knees, Utkatasana. And then coming all the way up into Tadasana. So you're keeping your feet hip distance parallel at the front of the mat. Try to create a strong, straight alignment where the back of the skull lines up with the base of the tail, lining up with the back of the heels. Make sure your core is active and that the inner thighs are engaged towards one another. On your inhale breath, you're going to float one leg up to the chest. You're very welcome to hold your shin if that's more appropriate. If you're trying to work into a bit more core activation, then let the knee lift up using the core muscles. Moving now into your tree pose. You can bring the foot to the inner thigh, to the calf muscle, or bring the toes onto the mat with your heel resting on top of your standing foot. And just keep checking in with that back body alignment. You don't want to pivot forward or to the side here. You're trying to recreate Tadasana, but just on one leg. On the inhale breath, extend the hands up to the sky. You can separate the fingers here to make space for the shoulders. And now if you really want to challenge your balance, you're going to start to turn your gaze up. Let's return the gaze back center. Hands together at the heart. Lift into bandhas as you float the knee to the chest. And then gently release the leg to the mat. Let's take it to the other side. So engaging through that back body alignment. On your inhale, float your other knee to your chest. So make whatever small adjustments you need to feel strong and straight. Coming into your tree pose, inner thigh, calf, or toes to the mat, not on the knee joint though. Try to recreate that back body alignment. And then let's float the hands up. Be mindful not to let the shoulders creep too high as you do this. If you want to challenge your balance, turn your gaze to the sky. Let's lower the gaze, lower the hands, drag your knee into your chest. And then gently release the foot back to the mat. Setting in Tadasana at the front of your mat. Inhale, taking hands overhead. And exhale to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. You're going to step straight into downward facing dog. And then making your way to sit. Looking between the hands, lifting onto the toes, bend your knees, walk, step or hop. Just sit on the mat and bring your legs in front of you. Let's bend both knees, bringing the soles of the feet together. You can scoot your hips a little bit forward or a little bit back depending on what feels good. And I'll press big toe against big toe, baby toe against baby toe, and push the knees to the earth. feel the ricochet of energy lifting your skull to the sky. And then slowly hinging forward, keeping a straight back as you do so. Let's inhale to center, draw the knees together, and then extend one leg at a time out into a wide V. Hands slightly behind you, lift your bum off the floor, slide your tailbone back, and then re-sit down. So you are already in the right pelvic position. Remember, the middle toes face the sky. You can stay in an upright position, reaching head and tailbone in opposite directions, or again, you can start to hinge forward, keeping a straight back. Let's inhale, coming back up to center. Lightly hold underneath the thighs and draw the feet together. Take right knee into your chest and place the foot to the outer edge of the front thigh. You can choose to keep this leg straight, or you can bend next to the hip, whichever feels best for you. Lift up tall and gently pull your knee in towards your rib cage as you draw your rib cage towards your knee. And you should feel there's a bit of a stretch happening into the actual joint of the hip. Make sure that your sitting bone is flat. If you're lifting your bum off the floor, you're losing the alignment of the pose. Let's twist now, bringing the left elbow around the front of the shin and rotating to the right. Returning to center, gentle derotation in the opposite direction, and then center. You're going to straighten the legs out in front of you. Let's now take the left knee into the chest, placing the foot to the outer edge of the thigh. You can keep your leg straight or bent. And just hold here for a moment, working into the hip joint. So adjust your alignment to really feel the depth of that stretch. Let's twist now, right elbow around the shin as you rotate to the left. Return to center, straighten both legs out in front of you, and then make your way to lie down on your back. Take both knees into your chest. Just flattening from the back of the skull all the way down the length of the spine, pressing the sacrum and tailbone into the floor as well. Come into happy baby, holding to the outer edges of the feet as you lift your heels and draw the knees down. Gently rocking from one side to the other. Return to the center now, drawing the knees into the chest again and making your way into Shavasana. And make sure your lower back feels supported, your upper back feels spacious, your arms, shoulders and chest feel broad. Taking a deep breath in through your nose. Holding the breath for a moment. And then actively sigh the breath out, softening your body as you do so. Slowly start to deepen and lengthen your breath. Gently running your thumb over the tips of your fingers. Moving your toes, ankles, and wrists. Moving into a full body stretch as you yawn or sigh. Bending your knees and rolling onto your side. Your inhale, lifting up into a comfortable seated position. Joining your hands together at your heart center in Anjali Mudra. We'll close the class by chanting Om once and Shanti 3 times. Taking a deep breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Raising your hands to your third eye, the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Lowering your hands to your lips, to your heart, to your mat. Bowing forward in recognition of your practice. Blinking eyes open, inhaling to sit. Namaste.